So my objective is to successfully create crystal snowflakes by using borax, water, and straws. And my hypothesis is I think that the borax will create a crystal due to the process of heating and cooling, and that'll create a crystal. For my materials, I used a large beaker, plastic straws, food dye, a spoon, one small beaker filled with 1 cup of water, and string. Also a Bunsen burner and stand to boil the water. Originally, the lab that I found online called for pipe cleaners to make the snowflake, but I didn't have that, so I used straws, and I just made the snowflake by cutting little holes in the middle of the straw and then kind of putting it together that way. Then I measured out 3 cups of water in my larger beaker, and I attached a string to the top of the snowflake. Then I measured in the water until the snowflake was fully covered, and I tied the string onto the pencil laying across the top of the beaker according to that, so that the snowflake was fully submerged in the water. Then I lit my Bunsen burner so that I could start boiling the 3 cups of water in the larger beaker, and I added 2 drops of blue food coloring. I was hoping that this would make the crystals colored when they crystallized, but it didn't end up really doing much. Then I added about 9 spoonfuls of borax into my water, and I did this because it called for 3 spoonfuls per 1 cup of water, so 3 times 3 equals 9. After it boiled, I took it off the heat, put my snowflake in, and set it aside to cool. Then I decided to repeat the whole process again, but using a 4-to-1 ratio of the borax to water. So I did 4 spoonfuls per 1 cup of water. And again, it was the same 3 cups of water in the larger beaker. And this time I decided to use green food coloring so that I could tell the difference between the 2 solutions, but in the end it also didn't make much of a difference in the color of the snowflakes. These are the pictures of the snowflakes after I left them in for 3 days overnight, and it didn't crystallize as well as I wanted to. I think part of the reason that it didn't work as well is because I didn't use pipe cleaners like the lab said, and I used straws instead. And my hypothesis was generally right. The crystal was created from the process of heating and cooling. I did learn kind of about that solubility is included into that. It's not just the heating and cooling, and that it's a physical change and not a chemical reaction, which makes sense. So one of the questions that I had and answered in my lab was, why do the crystals form? So the reason the crystals form is due to solubility, and solubility of the borax increases with temperature. So more borax may be dissolved in hot water than in cold. So when the water cools, there's more borax that can be contained by the cold water. So the borax falls out of the mixture and forms the crystals. And when this happens in real life, mineral crystals that are formed by this process are called evaporites. Another question I had was, is crystallization a chemical reaction? And the answer is no. Crystallization is a physical change that involves the organization of atoms or molecules into a crystal. So it's a physical change, not a chemical change, because no new substance is formed. That's it. Thanks for watching.